Motorcycle riders are a specific breed of human. They're often instantly recognizable in a public place due to their unique behavior and peculiar neuroses, or because of the big helmet they're carrying around everywhere. So, without further ado, here are 7 weird things that only motorcyclists do. The first and nearly all-encompassing thing that almost every motorcyclist does is adopt motorcycling as a lifestyle. It's hard to think of any other hobby, sport, or mode of transportation that instantly becomes a person's sole identifier. Like, if someone plays guitar, they don't instantly pick out every other guitar player in public or talk ad nauseum about guitars to every other non-guitar playing person they come across. If you're watching this video, you're likely a motorcycle rider or thinking about becoming one. Now, honestly, think about the last time you went an entire day without talking about motorcycles. You can't remember one, can you? That's because motorcycles have a way of consuming a person's entire perception of reality. Motorcycles are a parasite that lays eggs in your brain, turning every waking moment into an opportunity to relate your experiences back to motorcycling. Like, say you're on a first date at a nice Italian restaurant, you and your date are about to do the Lady and the Tramp spaghetti noodle kiss thing, and you can't help but explain, despite the fact that it wasn't as well received by the public as the Ducati 916, the Ducati 999 was actually super successful in World Superbike, winning world championships in 2003, 4, and 5. And then your date escapes out of the restroom window and you're left alone at the table, pasta sauce in your face and hands, unable to comprehend what it is that you did wrong. For many motorcyclists, motorcycling becomes the constant thread of their reality. That's why when your rich uncle bought a Harley Davidson, he immediately started wearing assless chaps to all the family gatherings. On a similar note, motorcyclists are easily identifiable by their attire most often of the time. To make another comparison, hockey players don't walk around in skates carrying a helmet and a hockey stick or try to pay for goods and services with hockey pucks in lieu of cold hard cash. Whereas motorcyclists love the attention that comes with wearing motorcycle-specific gear in public. It's like when the hipster rolls up on his Triumph Bonneville dressed like Bob Dylan and intentionally carries his half helmet with him into the coffee shop in order to order his overpriced oat milk latte. Even though it is 10 a.m. in the most expensive neighborhood in town and he can see his bike parked 10 feet from him on the other side of the window. But no, he dare not risk some unsavory character coming along and stealing his $90 half helmet or just grabbing it and spiking it into the concrete like a quarterback trying to stop the clock during a football game. Or subconsciously, or perhaps consciously, I don't know his exact thought process, this is a fictional character after all, he brings the helmet in with him because he likes the attention. He likes having a prop to set himself apart from the other patrons, like the band hall kid that walked around high school with the ukulele, or how snowboarders and mountain bikers were all playing that Kendama Cup and ball game on Instagram a few years ago. What the hell was that about anyway? Anyway, outside of the helmet carrier, motorcyclists can be seen wearing other specialized motorcycle gear in public, like radioactive high-vis weatherproof riding jackets or motorcycle riding boots, or if they're a total nerd, those shifter lever shoe protectors. You'll be able to spot one of these guys from a mile away. Are you curious about where you can find nice, high-quality, American-made motorcycle shoe protector? Too bad, I'm not going to tell you because those are dumb. But what I can do is tell you about where you can find an incredible selection of motorcycle gear hand-picked by yours truly at shop.yammynoob.co. We have a ton of gear for every type of rider. We have a great selection of helmet, boots, jackets, you name it. In each category, we have items for every riding style, budget, and experience level. We also have plenty of gear options for casual, everyday riding as well, so you don't have to look like a leather-clad banana sprung loose from BDSM Club when you wear your high-vis gear in public. Every dollar spent on shop.yammynoob.co gets you an entry to win one of our giveaway motorcycles, plus community members from yammynoob.co get 10% off their order. If it's time to give your gear an upgrade, head over to shop.yammynoob.co and see everything we have to offer. Now back to the video. If there are any police officers in the chat, maybe now would be a good time to fetch yourself a refreshing glass of tap water so you have plausible deniability, but something that motorcycle riders do more than anybody else is commit traffic offenses. Also, this video is by no means an admission of guilt or in any way encouraging people to defy traffic ordinances specific to their local municipalities, but an expression of satirical hyperbole, as is often the case here on Yammy Noob. Now that we've got that out of the way, motorcyclists are probably the biggest violators of many laws regarding vehicle operation on public roads. I mean, many motorcycles can go double the speed limit in second gear. It is kind of hard to expect small-brain, testosterone-fueled, cargo short-wearing young men to not open that throttle and feel invincible. A motorcycle can get to 120 miles an hour and then slow back down to 70 before most cars can even make it 50 yards from a stoplight. When piloting a machine that is so capable of high-speed acceleration and incredibly effective braking, it can be hard to not take advantage of its prowess. Outside of speeding, some motorcyclists also like to do wheelies, or will will even power wheelie unintentionally due to the sheer amount of power their bike makes. But also, if you're accelerating hard enough for the front wheel to lift, you're likely going over the speed limit anyways. And it's not completely unheard of for riders to lane split or lane filter in states where it is not legally permitted. Compared to the average car driver, motorcycle riders are far more likely to bend the rule of law while riding on public roads. Motorcycle riders might not just be committing traffic offenses, but also defying noise ordinances. Compared to car and even truck guys, I think motorcycle riders unnecessarily rev the engines on their bike more than any other subculture. They will also ride around a quiet neighborhood filled with sleeping infants and hospice patients at 4 a.m. while in first gear on their 600 class sport bike with the throttle wide open, banging it off the rev limiter. Or the straight-piped Harley riders think that if they don't whack the throttle open repeatedly at every stoplight, their engine might die. Well, I guess for some older Harleys, that might actually be a valid concern. Some key focus areas for motorcyclists to peacock their exhaust sounds other than a quiet neighborhood in the middle of the night are in front of any bar or restaurant with outdoor seating, under a bridge or in a tunnel, or on the drive-through line at Bojangles. A good motorcycle exhaust can be really satisfying, but I don't know, it's kind of like people and their children and they have a face that only their mother could love expression. Your baby might be ugly, but you think they're the cutest thing ever. The eBay exhaust note on your 2005 Gixxer 600 at Redline might sound like Beethoven's Fifth Symphony to you, but to everyone else around you, it sounds like Axel F by Crazy Frog. No one else enjoys the sound of you revving the crap out of your engine as much as you do, not even other riders. And I have to admit, when I'm in my truck in traffic, I don't want to hear your loud-ass bike. Not even gonna lie. That is actually a good segue into the next peculiar act that motorcycle riders do, identifying distant motorcycles by their sound. All the riders in the audience know what I'm talking about. You'll be outside somewhere, maybe enjoying a nice family barbecue on a hot summer day, playing cornhole with an ice cold, refreshing Sobe Life water in one hand while you toss the bag with the other. When in the distance, you'll hear something. The mating call of another motorcyclist just making sure their bike is warmed up all the way with a few twists of the throttle before taking off. And your uncle in the assless chaps makes eye contact with you, and with a mouthful of potato salad, he says, "You hear that? Sounds like a shovelhead. Probably early 70s by the sounds of it." Or for the more cultured Euro boys watching this video, maybe you're on tour of a vineyard near the Italian coast. It has been owned by the same family for over 100 years, and they only grow grapes native to the region with minimal intervention to accentuate the character of the land. And after you've had 2 glasses of morning wine, the enjoyment of your 10th cigarette of the day is interrupted by the exotic auditory accompaniment of a controlled explosions and evacuation of combustion gases, and you look over at your companion and say, "That was an air-cooled Desmo Ducati engine." And they say, "I do not care." And maybe even more relatable to pointing out and identifying a motorcycle sound you hear is shouting Hayabusa and pointing every time you see a Busa in the wild, which is one of my favorite pastimes. Another thing that motorcycles do that is kind of weird is if you stop and think about it is that the rider wave. On a really nice weekend afternoons in the summer where there are hundreds of riders out and you feel like you're dropping the 2 fingers down practically 10 times per mile, you stop and think to yourself, what am I actually doing? It's like saying the same word over and over again until it begins to lose all meaning, like Hayabusa, 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 Hayabusa. Yeah, it's not even right. I don't know what the hell I'm saying. It's like what other niche group of people have an automatic bond before ever meeting. Sometimes after I've biker waved to a dozen bikers in a day, I think to myself, I don't even know you. You didn't even show up to my dog's birthday party. Why do I owe you a wave? But then other times when the weather isn't as nice or you're out in the middle of nowhere and you haven't seen another car, let alone another motorcyclist for what feels like an hour, you'll see the faint outline of a rider on a steel horse cresting the hill in the distance, and when you finally pass each other and those 4 fingers drop down opposite to one another, you feel like you've never been closer to another human being in your entire life, brother. 2 lonely cowboys passing each other in the night, running from the past and chasing down the future. Man, those moments just hit different. The only other people that offer up automatic waves to strangers are those on boats, and they're usually so drunk it doesn't count, and I guess Jeep owners, but they're probably drunk too. The last thing that only motorcycle riders do for the approval of other males in their community— oh wait, that's the wrong strip. That's a snippet from a self-help book I'm writing. I'm struggling to solidify a title. I'm torn between moving moments for the modern male motorcyclist and It's Not Your Fault, You Were Born Like This, with a picture of someone riding a My Little Pony wrapped in a Hayabusa leather gimp suit on the cover. Let me know which one you prefer down in the comments below. The last weird things motorcyclists do is use the most obscure, esoteric, and nonsensical jargon. Why is that, you might ask? Well, because our full-face helmets are slowly depriving us of oxygen, which is unfunny to the layperson, a hilarious meme to the motorcycle rider though. But really, like any group or subculture, the more you envelop yourself in the niche obscurities of the lifestyle, the more intrinsic value you'll find and the more warm fuzzy feelings you'll get. Feeling like you actually belong to something that is unique, special, and exciting requires a special set of skills and a majority of society doesn't possess. Motorcycling is inherently individualistic, but simultaneously always coincided with a sense of kinship amongst other riders. And with that comes a colorful set of vocabulary. Our ancestral riders likely weren't talking about squids, nooners, or gooch juice, but they probably couldn't even fathom what riding a Turbo Hayabusa would be like either. Please be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Was there something I missed? Probably. I've met not every single motorcycle rider in the world. Come on now. So let me know down below if you want to be seen. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later. Fact: the vending machine was invented in ancient Greece. The coin-operated machines dispensed holy water to ensure worshippers were only taking their small allotment when the priest was absent. Goodbye.
Keep watching.